In this video, I'm just going to introduce to you some of the practical aspects of the MatLab software. So I'm not focusing on the actual coding, but just on the different windows in the MatLab software. So when you open MatLab, the first thing you will see would be this screen. Let's call it the working area, where there's different windows that I will introduce. The first thing you need to determine is where you will be working, on which folder on your computer you will be working. And you'll see in the top of the screen it indicates the current folder. Okay, so the folder that I want to work on is on my Documents folder, subfolder 2018 WRSC 111 week 3. Obviously the folder that you would want to work on your computer would be different. So the first thing I do is shown on the top left hand corner. I click on the button just right of the current folder with the little dots. It's the browse button that opens the dialog box which you see on the left. I now want to go to Documents, so I click on Documents and then I click on 2018. Then we go to the browse folder to the right. Under the 2018 folder there's a folder called WRSC 111. I would click on that. Then I would highlight week 3, and when week 3 is highlighted, that's the folder I want to work in. I click on the OK button. Once I've done that, the current folder at the top of the screen, as you see here at the bottom, shows my default folder. This is the folder in which all my activity will happen during this session. So after I've selected my folder, in the top left hand part of the screen, the current folder is listed and it shows all the current files that I would find in that folder. We'll make use of this folder just now. The command window is where a lot of the action will happen. This is where you will actually be entering commands on the screen where the arrow is pointing. So let's look at the first two commands that I've entered on the command window. A is assigned to 5, B is assigned to 6. If you've programmed before, notice that MATLAB does not do variable declarations. As soon as you assign A to 5, A automatically becomes an integer, and the same applies to B. So that's the two commands that happened in the command window, and it simply assigns the variables A and B to the values 5 and 6. The next two commands are assignment commands. So I say C is assigned to A plus B. It simply adds A and B and assigns it to C. On the right hand side you'll see the workspace, which is in the top right hand corner of your MATLAB screen, indicates the current values of the variables. So you'll see that variable C has the value 11. But you will also see that I did the two assignment commands differently. The one has a semicolon at the end and the other one not. What happens here is when you put the semicolon at the end, it assigns the value to C and the workspace changes in the top right hand corner, but nothing else will happen on the command window. But if you leave out the semicolon, where we said C is assigned to A plus B and the semicolon is left out, the value of C is displayed on the screen. So in this case it shows you that C is assigned to 11. This is often a quick way of finding results, just to see the result on the screen. If we had put the semicolon, we would not have seen the value of C displayed. Notice if I now say C is assigned to A times B, the result is not displayed on the screen, but on the right hand side in the workspace, the value of C changes to 30. Like in any programming language, MATLAB allows you to create a little program that you save in a separate file, and then you can execute or run it afterwards. In MATLAB, these files are called scripts. So in your top left hand corner you would click on File, then New, and then Script. As soon as you've clicked on Script, a new window opens, which is called the editor. The editor is simply that part of MATLAB where you create new programs that you want to save. So what I've done here is quite a kind of a very obvious program. It assigns A and B to 5 and 7, then adds it together and assigns the answer to the variable sum, and then it displays sum on the screen. In a later video we'll look at how to display stuff on the screen, but this is very basic. 5 and 7 is added and the answers should be displayed on the screen. We now want to save this little program so that we can use it later. So in the top left hand corner we will click on File, Save. Notice the dialog box opens automatically in the default folder which we created earlier on, which is week 3. And we give this file a name, and you can choose whatever you want, but as long as it makes sense. So I choose the name getSum, and then I would click on save. At this stage it's important just to highlight that you're actually working on 2 separate screens when you're working in MATLAB. The one is the main screen with all your command window, etc. And the other one would be typically your editor, in which you create new programs. So if you go to the bottom of your screen, you should see 2 tabs. One is for the MATLAB, the main screen, and the other one for the editor. So once we've saved our program, we want to go back to the main screen. Once we are back in the main screen of MATLAB, we'll see in the top left hand corner that our new file getsum.m is now listed in the folder. Notice that programs we create in MATLAB have the extension .m. In the command window, I now type the name of this file, and this is getsum. When I press enter, it executes that program which we saved earlier on. So it executes, it runs that program, and then it displays the answer 12 on the screen. Before we finish the video, just a quick trick when you work on the command window. Notice in the top left hand corner I've entered 3 separate commands. I've called the getSum function. X is assigned to 8 and Y is assigned to 9. Now I want to go back and call the getSum file. So what I do is I press the upper arrow once. Notice now it highlights Y is assigned to 9. Then I press the upper arrow again. Now it highlights X is assigned to 8. So it's going back to the previous commands. And when I press the upper arrow the 3rd time, the getSum command is shown, and now I can reuse it. So the upper arrow is used to revisit previous commands, so you don't need to retype them.